Alright, hello. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. So we've got a fun stream this afternoon, I think. Let me put these on. Hello, Rayo Dev. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, we're going to be redoing some inventory UI here, or this is actually the Gunforged UI. So it's a UI that has the same name as the game. But yeah, before I go into it, just want to mention that if you want to support me, you can pick up one of my Udemy courses where you can learn how to make either a platformer or a 2D survivor style course in Godot, 3 and 4 respectively. And then I also have an upcoming C# course which should be released sometime this week, so you could keep an eye out for that. And otherwise you could subscribe, like, watch all the videos, all that kind of good stuff helps a bunch. So yeah, thank you all in advance. And for anyone who has purchased the course, very much appreciate that. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So this stream, we're going to be updating this UI here. This is the core sort of gun forging UI. I think that this needs to be streamlined a lot because there's a lot going on. So the current way the screen works is that you have your two guns, right? Your left gun and your right gun, and your equipped runes will change here depending on which gun you've got in context. And then you've got your available runes, which is kind of like your inventory. But then you've got available gun parts, which is like the gun parts that you're being rewarded with. So I think what probably would be good is... what I want to try to do is show both guns on the screen at once and then have their equipped runes maybe running down the side of them there, and make it very easy to just click and drag runes over. I think that would be a lot better. And then trying to figure out a way to just make this available gun parts a little bit more clear in terms of what these are actually doing. So you've got the runes and you've got the gun parts, and the runes can be slotted independently of the gun parts, but some of the gun parts also come with runes that you can extract and put into your inventory. So there's a lot of different things happening here, and I just want to see if there's going to be an easier way to deal with all this. But I think I'm going to start just by going bull in a China shop and just destroying this. Hello, Tech C6. All or just some? Well, just some for now, just this screen. So we're going to see how it works. Is my camera framing okay here? Let's see. Maybe that'll be better. Yeah, there we go. A little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to start by going bull in a China shop and just destroying this. So first thing we want to do is we want to identify what this is. This is the assembled gun ingot animator. Okay. So what even does this ingot animator do? Play in, play hover in, play hover out. Okay. This seems to be doing a lot of stuff that I don't need in this screen, but we're not going to go that deep with replacing things just yet. Weapon navigation container. So I think this is basically going to go away. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to... I've got a mosquito bite on my ankle. That's not fun. I am going to maybe just build a parallel UI tree here. Margin container 2, sure. Okay, so we got the margin container, and let's go ahead and start by adding the assembled gun ingot animator for both. So we'll do left gun ingot animator, and then we'll do right gun ingot animator. Oh my goodness. And then this is obviously not correct, so let's go ahead and add an HBox container to that. Drag those underneath. Okay, now we're cooking. So yeah, this is the problem that I'm running into whenever I try to redo this screen, is that there's just not enough screen real estate here. And that is a problem. Because if I wanted to do something like have an inventory, so let's see. So if I wanted to do something like have an inventory where What am I trying to say? If I wanted to have an inventory along the side of these ingots here, so what would I copy if I wanted to do that? Let's see. I would want to copy like this panel. So it's a panel container with a theme type variation of gun panel container. So what I'd ideally want to do is do something like HBox container here. Put the left gun ingot animator in there and then add a panel container next to it with a theme type variation of gun panel container, and then have a grid container, I guess, of, I don't know what these are called either. What is this called? This is a rune inventory button and a gun part inventory button. Okay. So I would want to put a gun part inventory button here. So instantiate gun, no, a rune inventory button. So yeah, this is already going to take up like a ton of space. So then if I put this right gun ingot animator there, duplicate that panel container, put it there, I'm like already out of space here. So that's not good. Hold on. All right, Cat needed to be covered with his blanket. How long have I been making this game? Oh, a couple of years now. It's gone through several iterations. You can actually, the Gunforged devlog series has actually been quite long-lived, I would say. So you should actually definitely go and check out the YouTube channel and see what the earliest versions of the Gunforged look like. It's gone through many iterations, so it's been a while. But we are in the home stretch here. So this is my problem. However, I guess I don't need to use up all of the vertical space. So I could do something like, instead of having this fill, layout, container sizing, shrink begin, I could do something like this, although that's not going to be enough space either. So I guess I could keep some kind of weapon swapping system in place. Let me just see what this looks like inside of an actual game window. Yeah, there's just not enough space here. And this doesn't even have proper padding or anything. This is just that. So, I could do something like, I've never used this, but it could work. I've never used a tab container, so I wonder if that would work. So add child node, tab container that creates a tab for each child control, displaying only the active tab's control. I don't know how to use this, so I'm just going to go out on a limb here. What about tab bar? Okay. All right. What happens if I add a label here? Label there as well. Tab 1. And then this one can be tab 2. Does it just work out of the box, or do I need to do some work here? Oh, that just works out of the box. Ooh, very interesting. Very interesting, actually. That's very interesting. What else do I need to fit on the screen? I need to fit the gun parts that are going to be options for you to put onto your gun, and also your inventory of available runes. So I need to show both of the guns, the runes attached to both of the guns, the gun parts that you're getting as a reward at the end of the level, and the runes that you have in your inventory that are free to just construct. By the way, welcome to the stream, Breck Heck. Mercia? Hello, welcome. Hello, Real Cruda. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. So I might be able to get away here with using a tab container instead. I'd have to style it, obviously, but maybe this will work. So this tab bar... Oh, wait, what's going on here now? I don't know what that does. Tab container, tab bar, label, tab bar 2. Okay, so this just takes the title or the name of the node. So if I do left gun, right gun, okay, so now we've got the tab container, so I should be able to do something like this. Oh no. Okay, interesting. Clip tabs, I don't know what any of this does. It's my first time using tab container. Scrolling enabled. No. Drag to rearrange, scroll to selected, select with... Oh, this is so weird. I don't know what any of this is. Okay. So why is it... Okay, let's just get the other... Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So we're making use of the tab container now. I suppose I should probably... Can I add a margin container here? Or how does this work? Because this is way out of line here. Oh, you know what I should probably do? Maybe I need to do like a margin container here. Ah, yes, there we go. Okay, so then I'll add a margin container here as well. Okay, let's see how that looks. It's not going to look any different, but nice. So we've got left gun and right gun. So what's nice about that is that I can, instead of having this tab container stretch, I can instead go to my layout, container sizing, shrink begin. Okay. That's not right. Tab bar. Let me read up on tab bar here. Only in charge of drawing tabs, not interacting with children. So I can't change the size of this tab container. It's not gonna, if I do shrink begin, it's just gonna absolutely shrink instead of shrinking to fit the content. Hello, Mala. Thank you, yeah. Welcome to the stream. A button that triggers a sliding panel that shows extra forge data. That could be an option. Tuning in while working on a smelting system in your game. Nice, yeah. That's cool. So what I might have to do here is, if I don't do fill, I could do shrink begin, but I have to set like a custom minimum size. So I could do something like 250. just like that. Maybe that would work. I would also probably have to make it scroll though, right? So I think I turned scrolling off. What happens if I do that? So if I duplicate this a bunch more times, oh, it's just gonna go right off. This is gonna be so complex. That's not right. Oh, this screen has given me more trouble than anything I've ever done in my entire life. I literally don't know what to do with this screen. Could you tile the two guns vertically? No. Because what's missing here is that there's going to be a whole bunch of affixes here as well. So if I go to like a more real representation of the guns. So like there's these affixes here, so this could potentially be very long. So if I equip this gun part, equip that, add that rune, you know, I get something like this. This is one gun ingot, and it's already taking up 75% of the height of the screen. What's the affix meaning? It's just these things here, these special passives that get added to the gun. So add one poison stack, add one oil stack, bullets pierce through enemies. That's what the affixes are, and that's what the runes do. The runes provide affixes. I wonder if I should just, let's maybe before going to this margin container with tab container stuff, I wonder if I just do yeah, I wonder if I just do maybe some light changes here first. So this is the weapon navigation container. I wonder if I do something different here instead. So if I take this equipped runes panel container, maybe if I put this, I'm gonna hide that and hide that. This weapon navigation container, let's just add a V-Box container here as well. Let's put the assembled gun ingot animator in there. Okay, and then let's do, maybe I could do a couple of buttons here. So firstly, I want to take this equipped runes panel container and put this in there so I could show it underneath perhaps here. What does that look like? I just want to see what that looks like now. Problem is this could get very long too and squish this. So like if I do equip that, equip that, equip that, add rune, add rune. So it's kind of getting away from me here. Although I guess this could be made wider then to support more grid spaces. So maybe that would be better. Hey, Neozoid. Can I ask for some advice on something, please? Yes, you may. I don't know how good of an answer I can give, but... Hello, Aniki. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Good to see you, good to see you. Alright, so... the equipped runes... I think I'm getting closer here. Maybe... I just want to try something. So this V-Box container here... Okay, I'm going to move this outside of the weapon navigation container. We're going to delete this. Goodbye. Go away. Oh, interesting. Wait, this weapon navigation container... Well, it was providing some kind of spacing. Okay. There's no separation between these things. Constant separation, 32. Give it some space, I suppose. I need to see, what was this doing here? Layout, it didn't have a custom minimum size, but it was shrink, center, and expand. So let's maybe just duplicate that really quick. Layout, container sizing, shrink, center, expand. Okay. So we're back to where we were. This is, I'm going to see what happens if I add an HBox container and I have some buttons in here. Left gun, add child node button. Let's turn both of these to layout, container sizing, expand. There we go. And then we could disable one of these depending on which one's selected. So we got something like that. Equip that gun part, equip that gun part. So we could make this... take up more space. Where's that equipped runes label? No runes equipped label, equipped runes container. Oh goodness. I think this would be better demonstrated if I did like empty grid squares, so maybe I'll do that. So why is this rune inventory button? Icon texture rect. Okay, so I might need to do a more sophisticated grid, inventory grid here, so I might do that, because what I could do is I could show the number of empty slots you have there, right? So that would probably be better. I don't really like the design of this panel either. But one thing at a time here. So does that actually fix anything? I think if I did that, maybe I would actually have the ability, like maybe I could just make that a tooltip instead of an element here. So I could have our tooltip and then that could just display on your mouse when you hover. And then maybe I could stack these two things. So instead of available gun parts and available runes being different things, I could stack those. So let's see. What is going on here? YOLO. Available gun parts label, put that there. And then available runes label, put that there. Panel container, yeah, put this one here. So does this even do anything now? Okay, yeah, that basically doesn't do anything now. Obviously we could fix those. Wait, this available runes label needs to go there. This VBox container can have theme overrides, constants. Let's just set this back to 0 for now. Okay. What is the viewport width and viewport height is acceptable for pixel art? That's a good question. It kind of depends on what kind of pixel art you're doing. A very common one is 640 by 360, which is the resolution that I'm using. And the reason that that's common is because that scales evenly into 1280 by 720. It also scales evenly into 1920 by 1080, and it also scales evenly into 2560 by 1440. So you can do integer scaling into all the most common, like 16:9 resolutions. It would also make sense to put rune slots directly into the ingot. Yeah, the problem is those don't need to really be displayed like in any other context, because this is used in multiple contexts here, so. Yeah, I don't know if it's really, I don't know if I would classify it as correct, but it's a very popular one for that reason, so yeah. That's the one that I do for all my pixel games. Basically every game that I make for all my game jams, it's always 640 by 360. So, seems to work out pretty well, I think. I might be able to, after all, maybe I'd be able to squish these things together, maybe. So let's get rid of some things here. VBox container. This can go away, we'll get rid of that. Info panel container, this needs to turn into a tooltip, so we're gonna get rid of that. This cell rune, extract rune, I can probably make these more intuitive controls instead of having buttons. I think I could use mouse. If I'm gonna not have controller support, then I think I can just use the mouse for this, in my opinion. So I'm gonna do that. Godot UI sounds like CSS or Bootstrap, really. It has a lot of similarities to those things. Especially with like the start and end, that's very Flexbox-like. Oh, excuse me. Wow. I had a little bit of a rough morning this morning, so when I was going to make coffee, I don't know if anyone cares about this, but I'm going to share it anyway. When I was going to make coffee this morning, I was getting my carafe ready and, you know, getting it prepared, and I hit the carafe too hard on my granite countertops, and it just, like, the bottom shattered. So I wasn't able to really have coffee this morning, so I'm going to blame my tiredness on that. Anyway. That was a little anecdote from the life of Firebelly. Let's go ahead and shrink this down now. So this VBox container, why is this so large? Layout. Oh, it's because it's expanding. Okay, so we don't need that expand there. Can I squeeze another ingot over here? If I just duplicate this guy, I could... Oh, it looks like I might be able to do this. Wait, I might be able to pull this off. Might be able to do it. So if I do those, okay. And then this needs to shrink over here. This available gun parts. I thought I removed the separation on this VBox container. I did, didn't I? Okay, get rid of that. So this panel could, so I got to figure out where this size is coming from now. It's probably these buttons down here, honestly. This cell rune, extract rune. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, wait, did we make the room that we needed? So now it's gonna have, I'm gonna have to use tooltips and whatnot to display some information, but, and this is probably gonna break if I run this, but I think we're getting there. So it's possible I might have to add some scrolling to these places, like this side here, which is probably fine, or I could add scrolling to the individual panels themselves. I don't think that would be the end of the world. Hello, Dark Cascade. Thank you for streaming Game Dev. Have you always targeted platform builds, or have you tried web exporting? No, I've done web exports. Web exports are not supported for C# though. But yeah, my game Globins that I released for, or that I did for the GMTK Jam, that is web build. So it's very easy. If you're using GDScript, the web build basically works 100% of the time. I don't ever have problems with it. Do you have a window width override 2 for Godot? Yeah, I start the window up at 1920 by 1080 when I start it. I'm on a 1440p screen, so this is a 1920 by 1080 window, which is just nice and big. You guys can see it, I can see it, you know. So I think I'm kind of happy with how this is going so far. So I'm interested now. I'm going to redo a lot of my... I'm just going to, like I said, bull in a china shop strategy here. I'm just going to delete things and then try to patch it up. We're going to get rid of this sell rune button, extract rune button. We're getting rid of that. That's gone. The info panel container. This needs to turn into a tooltip. Now, I'm not entirely sure how to do tooltips, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that to the root here. Let's delete this little experiment I was doing. I don't care anymore. So this tooltip, let's rename this to to-do make me tooltip, so I don't forget to do that. All right, so let's also rename some things here. So this is the available gun parts label. This is the available runes label. Rune grid container. Let's do rune panel container here. Oh, not run. Rune panel container. Hold on a second. Yeah. This is the gun part panel container. All right, what is this one? This is... We can get rid of that. This is the left gun container. This is the right gun container. Equipped runes. So let's do right equipped runes panel container. Right equipped runes grid container. Left. Okay. So we've got a greatly simplified kind of thing here. One thing I want to check out is I have these icons, these keyboard icons. Ooh, I do have a right mouse click here. Nice. So I could use these symbols in here. I don't know how well you can see that, but I could use these symbols to indicate like, okay, right click to equip or whatever, or shift right click to sell. I think I'll rely on hotkeys and mouse input to do the various operations that you'd want to do with these things. And then I think I also need to do a more traditional grid inventory management where you should be able to like drag runes from a slot to another slot. So I'm going to do that as well. I'm just going to make this much easier. Streamline it, make it much easier. The gun parts is an interesting one because I can't necessarily allow dragging that over because I don't really show that anywhere. I suppose I could show that as well. Do I want to show that? I will think about that later. Let's do one thing at a time here. All right, let's see if I can just get this working now with this new layout that I've done with a lot of deletions that I've done. So let's take a look at, we don't have the sell rune button anymore. We don't have this no runes equipped label anymore. We have multiple equipped runes panel containers, so I need to handle that. So I'll just delete that for now. Info panel container, this is going away for now. Well, I guess I'll rename this back to info panel container just so that that code continues to work, but I have it hidden so it's not going to do anything. That's all fine. Extract rune button, that's gone. Equip button, that's gone. Resource preloader. Oh, you know what? Yeah, now that I'm showing both guns on the screen, I need to be able to figure out how to equip the gun part to whichever gun you want to equip it to. Okay, I'm going to think about that as well. A lot of work to do. Equipped rune grid container, that's gone. Rune grid container, that's fine. Parts grid container, that's fine. This assembled gun ingot animator, there's going to be 2 of these now. So let's set that up. Left assembled and right assembled. Let's rename this one to left assembled, and this, we'll copy that, and we'll do right assembled. All right, we got a lot of red in this class, a lot of red. Yeah, 720p is a good option for 1080p as well. Hello, Vrabo. Happy to catch you live. Your Survivors course has been the biggest help with learning Godot. I'm super happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's see. Equipped runes format text equals equipped runes labeled text. Let's get rid of this. We're not going to do that anymore. Where's that format text? Get rid of that. Extract rune button, sell rune button. Reset gun preview. What is this doing? When is this called? Oh, it's called multiple times. So I need to do this for both. Get rid of those. Yikes, there's a lot here. Okay. Update equipped affixes. So these all need to take... So all of these methods pretty much assume that there's only one gun on the screen at a time, when it is the case that both of them are going to be on the screen at a time. So update part upgrade indicators. Existing gun stats. This is going to have to change, but I think what I'll do is I'll just comment that for now, because that's not super important. Update equipped affixes. Where is this being called? Toggle weapon preview. What is going on? Equip selected gun part. Okay. Okay, so this is all going to have to basically change here. So maybe I should start with the grid functionality first. Get that all working, and then I can figure out what I'm doing here. So we've got these little things here. Oops. Which I don't really like the color of, so I might actually open a sprite and change that. What is this called? Rune inventory button? Yeah, so this little... What is this icon? Oh, I see. This is, yeah, this is the icon that goes on the rune. Okay. So this warning, okay, so rune inventory button, this ends up being a button, which is fine. What is the texture for this? Okay. I don't really like the coloring of this. What is this texture called? Rune inventory button. Oh, wait. How do I actually... How do I actually see where this is coming from? Okay, well, let's go to Assets UI. Grid cell. Okay. I don't know why it's called grid cell. Can I open this in Asprite directly? There we go. Let's go ahead and delete the interior of this. Okay. I need to load this palette. Okay, there's my color palette. Save palette as default. Okay. I think I want to change these colors here. Oops. Should probably do this one first, then that one. These are probably okay. Why didn't those update? That's odd. I don't know why updating the Asprite thing didn't update those. It's like they're their own resource or something. Okay, so that looks much better. I think that's just gonna look better, just generally speaking. Now we've got a clearer sort of inventory kind of indicator here. So that's good. And then, let's see. Thank you so much with the, or thank you very much with the advice. I'm still slowly learning Godot. Yeah, it's hard. Godot is, there's a bit of a learning curve for sure. There's a lot going on in this little engine. So the rune inventory button now, I think I should just make like a generalized inventory button. I'm trying to think of what the best way to approach this is. So I want to be able to take an affix or a rune from an inventory slot and move it into another inventory slot and then have that affect the change. So I think what I need to do is I need to create a couple levels of abstraction here. So I think what I need to do is I need to take a step back here and I need to show this in file system. Let's see. So UI Forge, let's duplicate this. Let's just call this inventory slot. This is just going to be a very basic inventory slot. I'm going to say inventory slot. And the texture that's assigned to it, icon texture, texture rect. Okay, let's not worry about that for now. Let's just get rid of this icon texture rect. Let's get rid of that script. The warning texture rect, now that's a good question. Should I have it on there? Probably, I'll keep that there. We'll just hide it for now. So let's create a script for this inventory slot. So scripts, inventory slot, create. Okay, so this is game.ui.forge. I'm leaving a bunch of errors in this. I'm not even going to be able to test. Dang. Hello, Alana Body. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's awesome. Very much appreciated. Your course is too cheap. It's taught me so much, and I gained so much motivation from it. It's been a while since I was this engaged with any content. Good luck with your new path. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. You guys are very generous. C# course coming out soon, so if you want another course. Okay. So, what was I doing? Let's see here. I have inventory slot. So yeah, I need to get this working, but problem is it's not going to work with all these errors in here. So, honestly, I think I'm just going to go through and comment everything out that's causing problems. Just so I can get it to build, so I can test things. Large swaths of this are going to need to be rewritten anyway, but I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready for it. Sorry, no, don't be sorry. I was being facetious. Are you kidding me? Oh, okay. Gun preview slot. Okay. Just working through here. Just got to get rid of all these comments so I can actually get things building. Okay. I have one remaining issue here. Whew, okay. It's now made so that it won't cause me to fail to build now. Okay, so we've got an inventory slot class now. So the way that this needs to work is this needs to be put in the context of a grid as well. So what I will probably do is let's go ahead and create an inventory grid. So let's create a new scene, type user interface. Let's call it inventory grid. I don't really know how to make an inventory system, so this is going to be a little bit of playing around in the dark a bit. So I'll make it 3 columns by default. Let's just go ahead and instantiate some inventory slots just so we know what we're dealing with here. Okay, so inventory grid, we could optionally wrap this in a panel container. Make this the scene root. Okay. Change this to the gun panel container. Okay, perfect. All right. So, okay, so we've got kind of what we're dealing with here. Let's rename this to grid container. And let's call this, what do we want to call it? Inventory grid. So the inventory grid is going to be responsible for resizing the grid, adding more slots, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and add a script for this. Oh, that didn't use the right template. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let me take a couple minute break. Need to refill my water and everything, and then we'll be back to continue work on this inventory grid. But in the meantime, check out the links in the description below to support me Anything and everything helps. And I will be right back, and we'll be back at making this inventory section. All right, I'm back. All right, let's go ahead and do this. So the inventory slot needs to contain a reference to something. And it's either going to be a gun part affix or it's going to be a... potentially a gun part itself, but we're going to focus on the gun part affix first. Using your games as your waiting screen is kind of genius. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, what am I going to show for like the waiting screen? And I was just like, oh, I'll just record a bunch of gameplay of stuff I built. And I think, I don't know, something interesting to look at while y'all are waiting. So yeah, let's go ahead and in this inventory slot, let's get a reference to a gun part affix. Now the question is, so the inventory grid needs to... So there's a couple things that needs to happen. When I click on, let's say an affix from an existing inventory grid, I want that to get attached to the mouse, basically. And then when I click into a different inventory grid, I want that to leave the mouse and go into that inventory grid and potentially swap, right, between the two grids. Because if I take an affix and I place it into a different grid where another affix already exists, those places need to swap. So essentially I need to establish a communication between the two grids that are being interacted with. But there needs to be like a third sort of manager that ties like, that's like the bridge between those things. Because handling like doing an inventory where it's one grid is easy enough because then you can like everything's self-contained. But I have a case where I could be dragging something from one grid to another. And so there's kind of has to be something like a manager that ties them together. And so maybe this might be a bad idea, but maybe I could do something like that. So let's do, I'm just going to kind of go with what I'm feeling and then we'll see what happens. So inventory grid manager component, I guess we'll call it. Put this in component, save, add a script. Namespace game.component. Let's do an export. Private inventory grid array. Inventory grids like so. Okay. And then let's go ahead and build. Let's see if that works. Goodness, this takes forever to build. This project is getting weighty. So in this Gunforged UI, what I can do now is I can do inventory grid manager component. Just put it in here. And instead of this equipped runes container here and here, let's instantiate instead. Actually, I don't even need to do that. Let's instantiate the inventory grid. Okay, and then same for this one. And what I should be able to do is I'm gonna call this one left inventory grid and right inventory grid, and then this inventory grid manager component, I should be able to assign each of those. So show all. Why doesn't it recognize this? Can I just drag it right on? Dang it. Oh, this is a grid container. This needs to be a grid container. What am I doing? Let's build this again. Now the question is that actually going to make a difference? I think it's not recognizing the type. Oh wait, this is still wrong. What am I doing? This is a panel container. Goodness gracious. Okay, now am I going to be able to do it? There we go. Jeepers. Okay, so we've got left inventory grid and right inventory grid. So this can serve as the bridge between those things. But now I need to do something. There's a couple of things I need to keep track of in here. So let's do this. Let's create a reference to an inventory grid. We're going to call it source grid. And we're going to private inventory grid source grid index. And we'll set that equal to -1 to start. This needs to be an int. And so the inventory grid, it needs to... So let's start from the bottom up. The inventory slot needs to listen to mouse events. So public override void ready. And it needs to listen to, at first, one mouse event, which is the left click, which I should be able to do just with this pressed signal. button down, button up, and pressed. Okay, so let's do pressed plus equals on pressed. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to emit a signal here. So I'm going to do a public delegate void slot pressed event handler. So in our on pressed down here, private void on pressed, I'm going to do emit signal name dot slot pressed. Okay, so now in the inventory grid, what I'm going to do is public override void ready. And this is just, there's going to have to be some kind of setup here. So there's going to need to be some kind of public void set capacity, which is going to take an int of capacity. And then there's going to need to be some kind of logic to handle whether it's growing or shrinking in here. So that's fine. So I'm not going to worry about that just yet, but that is going to need to be something that's handled. And we also need to be able to connect to all of the inventory slots that are here. So that's where this texture rect needs to change. So inventory slot texture rect, this ideally needs to be basically null so that the grid is just blank here. Okay. And then what needs to happen here is in the inventory grid, let's just go ahead and listen to all the children in the ready method. This is going to have to change because it's going to be dynamic in terms of how many slots there are. But let's just, for the sake of getting it working, let's do for each var child in get children dot cast. We're going to cast that as inventory slot child dot pressed plus equals. And we're just going to do this. We're just going to say, we're going to do a lambda private void on slot pressed. Let's call it in here on slot pressed, but instead of having no arguments, we're going to pass in the inventory slot that was pressed. So on slot pressed child. There we go. And then what we can do is we can emit that signal, right? So we can say signal public delegate void. We'll just call it slot pressed again, except in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to pass along the inventory slot that was selected or pressed on, but then we're also going to pass in the index. So int slot index here. And then in this on slot pressed, what I'll do is I'll do emit signal name dot slot pressed. Oh, I forgot to add the event handler slot pressed, and then let's do inventory slot dot get index. Yeah. Okay, so now what that's going to do is that inventory grid is going to bubble up into the inventory grid manager component in here, where I also need to do some setup here. So public override void underscore ready for each var grid in inventory grids grid dot slot pressed plus equals on grid slot pressed private void on grid slot pressed. I'm passing in an inventory. Well, actually, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set up a lambda here. So I'm going to do on grid slot pressed. This is going to take an inventory grid as the first argument. It's going to take the inventory slot as the second argument, and it's going to take the slot index as the third argument here. And then for this lambda, I'll call on grid slot pressed. And what will happen in here is I'll pass in that grid that we're iterating over. I'm gonna have to take the slot here in the index there and pass those along. And with that, now I have all the information I need to coordinate between the grids. So for instance, what I could do is I could say if my source grid is equal to null, that means that there's nothing on the mouse, so to speak, which means that I can set my source grid equal to the grid that's coming in, and then I can set my source, well, actually this needs to be source slot index. Slot index equals slot index. I guess I didn't really need this slot, but we'll keep it for now. But otherwise, if the source grid is not null, that means that we've already clicked on a grid and now we're clicking on a different grid, right? And so in that case, what I need to do is I basically need to set the item at the grid slot. So let's go ahead and, yeah, this is where things get a little bit tricky. Just got to keep them in my head a little bit here. So let's create a public method, public void set. I'm trying to build this in a way that's going to be amenable to doing gun parts as well as gun affixes in the same way, but I think it would be smarter for me to just focus on the affixes for now and then refactor as necessary to support gun parts. So I'm going to say set affix at index here. Or maybe I'll do... Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit. Did I forget to pass the slot to the signal for the inventory grid? I mean, I don't know. Tropical Banana Man. I'll have to see what breaks when I try it out. Hello, Dragon Apple. So we got Tropical Banana Man and Dragon Apple. Got some fruit names in here. Just checked out Godot 4.3 new features. Looks really awesome. Yes. And my new C# course covers one of the big changes, which is the tile map layers, the new tile map layers. So I just want Udemy to approve it, so that way, you all can check it out. So what do I need to do in here? Basically what I need to do is I need to let's do this. Public void. Yeah, I don't think I need to do this. Let's do this. Public void clear. Let's just call clear slot int slot index public void set affix at slot int slot index, and we'll pass in a gun part affix here. I think that's going to be enough. And then in my inventory grid manager, what I can do is, so I'm going to call this destination grid for expediency, and then this one's going to be called destination slot. And then my inventory grid, I need to do public gun part affix get affix at slot int slot index. Okay. So on grid slot pressed, if my source grid is null, then that means I'm picking something up from a grid. And then otherwise, if the source grid is not null, then what I'm going to do in here is what? gun part affix at source is equal to source grid dot get gun part, or get affix at slot. Let's rename this to destination slot index for good measure. And then we'll do the same. Gun part affix at destination is equal to destination grid dot get affix at slot. Oh no, this needs to be my source slot index. And this needs to be my destination slot index. I guess I don't really need this clear slot. I don't think I need that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, okay, source grid dot set affix at slot, source slot index, gun part affix at destination. Oops, did I get these wrong? Wrong order. Yeah. Nope. Yes. And then destination grid set affix at slot, gun part affix at source, destination slot index. So that should be swapping correctly. And then I need to do source grid equals null, source slot index equals -1. I guess I didn't really need this destination slot there, but that's fine. Okay, so now what I can do here is I can do var child is equal to get child at slot index as inventory slot, return child dot gun part affix, and then set affix at slot. We're going to do the same thing. Child dot gun part affix. I should probably do, yeah, let's do this. And I'll just say gun part affix is equal to affix here. Now I could call dot duplicate here. Or wait, can I? No, I can't call duplicate, never mind. What is even going on with this gun part affix here? Get affix resource, okay. So set child dot set affix. Okay. Use expression body lambda, fine. Okay. So now my Gunforged UI now, where am I actually setting up these affixes? So is current scene. Okay, generate test data in here. Update test data, add child affix loot table. Update test data. Affix options. Rune inventory manager, add affixes. Okay. Update available affixes. I do not know what this is doing. So I've got the available affixes here. Oh, you know what? I need to make that. Yeah, okay. I know what I need to do. Let's see. Vrabo, in your opinion, are there GDScript benefits over C#? Seems like everyone says C# is better in every case. Well, one benefit is you can export for web. Another benefit is GDScript is a lot quicker to write. It doesn't require dependencies. I don't know. Like, GDScript has been getting better and better, especially with the static typing, and a lot of the quality of life stuff like Lambda functions and whatnot has made it a very attractive option, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of considering using GDScript for my next game after Gunforged as well, because it just keeps getting better, and I had a really great time using it with globins. So I think C# is still a good choice if you really need like the software design patterns that you can execute or do or use with C#. And NuGet packages is also a big thing as well. But the thing is, you can communicate between them, right? So you can use C, like if there's a NuGet package that you really want to use, but you also want to write mostly in GDScript, you can write the functionality that you need to use for the NuGet package in C# and then call it from GDScript, right? But yeah, I think at this point it's just a matter of personal preference. Whatever you're comfortable with is what you should use. Whatever you're most effective with would be my suggestion. So this is the available rune inventory grid. We're going to add that there. Get rid of the rune grid container. So rune grid container. Okay, so this needs to change actually. What did I call this? Available rune inventory grid. Okay, that's going to create a whole bunch of issues. So add affix to available affix grid. We can get rid of that. Rune grid container add child. So I don't want to add any children here. What I want to do is I want to maybe create so we'll do add affix to the next empty slot, gun part affix, affix. Get children dot cast to inventory slot dot first var first empty is equal to this, x dot gun part affix is equal to null. If not first empty, then I don't know, do something here. And this needs to be if first empty is not equal to null, or equals null rather. Else first empty dot set affix to affix. Okay, then in the Gunforged UI, available. We don't need to, yeah, we don't need to instantiate that stuff. We don't need to instantiate, we don't need to do any of this either. Available rune inventory grid dot add affix to next empty slot, and that's going to be the affix. Update affix warnings, that's going to need a whole change as well. This is not going to return a rune inventory button anymore. Okay. Remove available affix from affix grid. Where is this being called? This is not going to do anything. Goodbye. Update affix warnings. So that's an interesting one. And it's interesting because we're going to comment it. Select affix index. I don't think I need this either anymore. Yeah, we don't need on rune button pressed anymore. We don't need that anymore. Extract rune button, that's an interesting one. That's going away as well. Well, actually, we don't even have a sell button anymore. Although I probably want to keep this. Just because I do want to probably support selling runes. Equip selected affix. Yeah, this all needs to, like, just go away. Get out of here. This select affix index, again, this is just not going to... Oh, I don't know. Okay, we're just trying to do something very simple here, so... We're just trying to do something very simple. Okay. Add affix to available affix grid. Add affix to next empty slot. Okay. It should basically, like, if it doesn't crash, I should see... Well, I won't see runes, actually. Got a couple of errors here. Equip button is not a thing anymore. Why is that still here? Get rid of that. Reset gun preview. Yeah, let's get rid of all that too. Hey, Dragon Apple. Unfortunately, the C# course isn't available unless it just became available. The Survivors course is in GDScript. So if you want to do the Survivors course, if that's the one that you got, then that one's already in GDScript. But if you want, you could also pick up the C# course, the new one that's coming out soon. If you were looking forward to doing that one. But yeah, thank you so much for purchasing. And also thank you so much, Dragon Apple, for the $2.99 Canadian. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. That hurt a bit. I'm tempted to use C# with VS Code and Copilot, but I'm quite liking how clean GDScript is. That said, I'm super new to it all. Shout out to Firebelly Survivor course. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't used Copilot yet. I've heard that it's very effective. But GDScript is very clean, especially, like, in my opinion, if you type everything and make sure that you have, like, the code completion and everything. So yeah, I think GDScript it's getting better and better, for sure. All right, let's see what happens if I run this now. Okay, So we've got the available runes. Nothing, never mind. Something is crashing. What's going on here? Oh, wait. Am I doing this wrong? Yeah, my inventory grid, I did this wrong. I need to reference the grid container here. So node. This needs to be, anywhere I'm calling get child here, this needs to be grid container. And then this needs to be grid container as well. And so does this. Okay, I think that's gonna work. And let's just, for good measure, let's do this. Inventory slot, when set affix is called, let's get a reference to this inventory slot texture rect. So let's get a reference to that. Texture rect dot texture is equal to affix dot resource dot icon texture. There we go. Okay, so let's see if that works. Hey, there we go. So we've got some available runes here now. Now let's see if the swapping actually works. If I click this and I click that, that doesn't work. Okay. Could not match member, right assembled gun ingot animator. Right, because I need to mark that as unique. Okay, so this movement is not working. And I wonder why that is. So let's go ahead and look at my inventory grid manager component here. Print a yo right there, see what happens. I use Copilot a lot with TypeScript. It does hugely improve my productivity. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I found ChatGPT is very helpful for very niche programming questions. What's the node attribute? Is it a custom attribute? Yes, Milestone, it is. I have it's actually on my GitHub, github.com/firebelly. It's Godot utilities. That node attribute basically detects, or it finds the nodes for you to assign them based on the name of the member. Hold on, give me 1 second. There's somebody doing some kind of like drilling or something. I want to make sure it's not related to me. Hold on. All right, it was not related to me. So this is actually not working, this on-grid slot pressed. Oh, you know what? Because I need to add this grid now to that list. Okay, let's restart. So now if I do this and that, it doesn't work, and I didn't even get a print. What the heck? Classic gd.print. Wow, that's not even working. So something's not working right. Am I never emitting that? I'm probably never emitting that, huh? Oh yeah, I'm not sending, I think you mentioned this earlier, someone mentioned this earlier, I'm not sending the inventory slot along with it. And, right, so I don't have any use for this inventory slot, so let's just get rid of that. I wonder why that wasn't giving me an error, or maybe it was and I didn't notice it. Yeah, I wasn't getting an error, so something makes me think that that signal wasn't even being emitted. And I pressed the wrong play button. Hello, Morna. Finally catching a live stream. Really enjoyed your Godot course. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'll be streaming a lot more, so there'll be plenty of opportunities to catch me. I'll be streaming a lot as I'm trying to bring Gunforged to completion here. Hey, look at that. So that works. Now this is not being cleared from the source destination. Why is that happening? gd.print gun part affix at destination. Oh, I think it is working. I just need to update the inventory slot. Yeah, I think I'm just doing it wrong. So set affix else. Well, I guess I could do this. I can do the null optional chaining here. Bang. Hello, that hurt a bit. Oh, I already said hello to you, but that hurt a bit. Thank you for your £3. Very much appreciate that. Why can't I add a like to either of those? I don't know, but thank you so much for the £3. Very much appreciate it. And yeah, I'm glad that I've helped with your Godot learning, and thank you for the good luck wishes. Very much appreciate that. Boom, boom, look at that. We got inventory working, and I can go back, I can swap those, I can move that one over there. Okay, so we're getting something. Obviously, there's not even close to done, but... So ideally what's going to happen is that as I hover over these things, they should update the preview of both guns. Well, oh wait, that's going to be... I don't know. There's some interesting problems that come up with this. Oh, hello. I'm curious to get that tooltip working. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna stage what I've got here though. That tooltip info panel container. Info panel container.global position is equal to get global info panel container.get global mouse position. Nice. Let's see what that does. Okay. Info panel container.size is equal to vector2.0. So we could do that to force it to be minimum size always. So now I just need to make this update as I click things. So that's the available gun parts. What is it called? Available gun part panel container, parts grid container, gun part inventory button. Okay. On button pressed, select part index, and that's setting the update. So I actually probably want to do button.mouse entered on, this should be called on gun part button entered. Yeah, I probably want to do the same thing here. I'm just passing the button here. Button. And then button.mouse exited. On gun part button pressed. We'll rename this one. Private void on gun part. What did I call it? On gun part button entered. Get rid of that even. Let's just get rid of that pressed. Okay. Now, I think that should show the tooltip now. Always. No. You did not fail to build. Oh, I need to do that. Okay. All right. Nice. Now this is being a little bit wonky. I think most of that though is due to the... All of these things probably need to have their mouse filters changed. To ignore. And that should be smoother now. Nice. Except it's still not working. What the heck? Why is this happening? The mouse is literally not exiting that thing. Maybe if I took these containers and set those to also ignore on the mouse. Maybe that would help. Oh, you know what? The panel container itself actually is probably causing problems. Or this info panel container. So this info panel container... I mean, I could just change its position in code, I suppose. I could get it away from the mouse a little bit. So, plus vector2 dot 1 times 8. That's probably what was happening. There we go. So now we've got a tooltip, which is much easier to deal with. Now, what I'm curious about is updating these. Well, I need to... these... Yeah, So this assembled gun ingot animator. So wherever that's used, So here, for instance, change it to left assembled gun ingot animator and right. See what that does. A lot of work to do here. It's going to be a little bit tricky too, because let's say like I hover over this and it updates that ingot there. But when I leave, it needs to reset the gun preview as well. So this needs to update here. Okay. So yeah, the problem is like if I want to, it's also very slow. It's a little bit laggy, so that's going to be a problem. Is it actually laggy or is it just my opinion? My, what you call it? Profiler? Let's see what happens. Something happened. Okay, let's try again. I'm trying to see if there's actually a problem here. It seems like there is. I think there is. It definitely feels a little bit laggy. So that's another problem that I'm going to have to deal with. So maybe I should leave the button press in place. So like if I select it, then that's when the preview gets generated. That's probably going to be a little bit better of an idea. So I'm going to put this on gun part button pressed back. And I'm going to need to separate, I guess, the tooltip from, so let's do private void show part tooltip int index. Drag this over into there. I'm copy and pasting a lot of stuff, but that's all right. Okay, so show part tooltip now can be called in here. So like that, and then this can be called show part tooltip like so. Then in here we could do select part index. So that will generate the previews, and hopefully that will fix that issue. So now I can select a part and I can get the preview of that part to see what that would look like. Now, how do I actually make it go equip mode on that? Probably have to put a little bit of tooltip information in here. But that's much better. So I can just hover over it and see what these things are doing. Okay. And then I can move... Oops. I can move these things over. Yeah, okay. We're getting there. I think this is getting a lot streamlined. Once I add like right click, so if I can right click to equip the worm receiver, for instance. Now I have to figure out how I'm actually going to equip it to each gun. I could probably put all that information in the tooltip though. And that should be fine. So yeah. Do I prefer C# over GDScript? So I've answered this a little bit before, but I think generally speaking for high complexity games that I can use like software design patterns in, yes, like Gunforged, especially when GDScript, the situation that GDScript was in when I started on Gunforged, it wasn't as mature as it is now. And so C# just offered me a lot of structure that I needed to manage all of this stuff. But GDScript has gotten a lot better. And so I think for my next game, I am going to use GDScript. So I think my preferences are changing a little bit here. I would have said yes, C# for sure. But with the latest versions of GDScript, I think it's really good. I'm going to create a new branch for this. UI overhaul again is what I'm calling the branch. Okay, well, that's going to be it for the stream today. Just about 2-hour stream, so that's a good one. So yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for watching. If you want to check out my courses, the links for those are in the description below. Again, keep an eye out either at my newsletter or my Twitter or on this channel for the C# course, which is going to be imminently released as soon as Udemy approves it. But yeah, if you're not interested in the courses, then watching, liking, subscribing my videos, all that good stuff is very helpful as well. So yeah, thank you all for your support. Thanks for hanging out with me. And thank you for all the super chats. Again, I very much appreciate that. And keep your eye out for future streams. Probably will be doing several more this week. So hit that notification bell to be notified when I go live. Okay. Enough of that promotion stuff. Thank you, everyone. Very much appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one.